Hello, everyone. Alberto August here again. As you know, last week I presented a synopsis of a plan for Belize's educational system. For the past couple of weeks now, I've been teaching a research module in Singapore. And as I teach this module on reflecting on what my students are saying about their educational system, the gaps in their system, the limitations, could you imagine Singapore having gaps in their educational system? So as they started to talk about the gaps in their educational system and the limitations, I started to think about our own educational system. Of course, it scopes from early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary. I presented a plan last week about having a visionary leader, taking charge of an educational plan that will benefit all children and students in Belize in hope of a growth and development over the next 10 years, maybe. And if we could take it 20 years, 30 years, Belize would be in a great position. So one of the considerations of 8 considerations that I have for, when I'm thinking about the limitations, and this is like I said, when my students from Singapore are presenting about their educational system, and they talked about early childhood system and how they want to improve their early childhood system. And the same thing, we need to work on improving our educational system at the early childhood level. Last week, I said that early childhood begins not at the preschool level. If we focus on the preschool level, our children would have lost at least 3 to 4 years, see, before. So we need to start at prenatal from the very, very early age. So toddlers, guiding parents, to share happiness and joy with their children as they're growing up. And then we invest in the preschool education, but needs to start from very early as prenatal care. Then the second point is inclusion. We need to include our children in the system. It doesn't matter the abilities, their disabilities. Students need to be considered who are, from all sectors, no matter what their limitations are. Now, we tend to have this inclusion, but our idea of inclusion is actually exclusion. So what we do in our system is we have a school, and in a school we have on the compound we have a little classroom or little house in the back of the schoolyard, and that is where we put all the children for inclusion, and we have a teacher there for them. That's not inclusion. That is exclusion. Inclusion is having the students with these abilities and disabilities integrated into the classroom. That's inclusion. We shouldn't be separating. That's isolation. If you pull them out of the classroom and you isolate them in a little classroom in the back of the school as if they're insignificant to the rest of the school community. So if you want to embrace inclusion, we need to embrace inclusion as the definition says, inclusion with the rest of our children. No, I can remember having inclusion in my classroom, and I can remember clearly at least like at the News Academy, one of the early meetings. My parents were very concerned. One of the questions was, will a child with a disability keep back my child? I said to that parent, as a matter, the child with a disability will teach your child. That child will learn to accept others. So it is very important that we have inclusion. Now you might say we don't have the resources. We might not have all the resources, but we can start. We can start to educate our people. We can start to train teachers, specialists to cater for the different groups of students and catering for complete inclusion. Inclusion. Then we need counseling program. I am aware that the secondary schools may have a counselor, but that is 13 years too late. That's a band-aid fix for counseling program. What about earlier years? Children from the primary school go through a lot. Children from the primary school go through stress, go through frustration, and especially in times like these. So again, we need to focus on counselors. Start getting more people trained for counseling programs and to help guide our children from a very early age. Though you might say we don't have the resources again. Of course, we don't have the resources right now, but we could start working on training counselors to partake in the schools. You might say, we don't have budget. Fine. We don't have budget for one counselor in every single classroom now, but we can aim for it. But we may have budget for at least one in five classrooms, and we could rotate that counselor to neighboring schools around Belize. So five schools a counselor can go, and we have interaction with students on that particular day. We need a start. We can't just sulk and complain that we don't have the facility, we don't have the training, we don't have the personnel. We need to start somewhere, and it starts with a good plan. We need counseling at a very early age, as early as primary school setting. Now, this is a big topic. Art, music, expressive art, dance. This needs to be integrated into the curriculum. It doesn't need to be only integrated into the curriculum. It needs to be facilitated for our students. You see, academic is great, but expressive art allows someone to express themselves through dance, through drama, through music, through art. They express themselves. And when they express themselves, it helps against the holistic development of a child, of a person. Not everybody wants to be doctors, lawyers, policemen, BDF soldiers. There's some children who are gifted, who are artistic, who are musically talented, who are dramatically talented, who has drama, who loves pottery, who can master musical instrument and make a living from this particular musical instrument. So we need not only program in the primary schools and the secondary schools, but we also need a platform for every child, for every person who would like to become, to express themselves through the arts. So we need centers in every district. So the Bliss Institute should exist in every district so that they can perform, and they schedule performances, and they get paid for these performances. How about sports? Yes, we're doing quite well with sports, but it still needs to go further. Again, we have very, very talented persons who are gifted with sporting abilities, who are great volleyball players, great football players, great cricket players, great basketball players, runners. So again, we need to capitalize on their strength, on their gift. Yes, academics is good. Yes, let them get their degree, their high school diploma, their degree, go to university, but we need to encourage them. Not only that, let them be paid for these sports in countries. That is the life of some people. That is their career, being a volleyball athlete, being a basketball athlete, a football athlete, a cricket athlete. That's their career. They get paid. So we need a platform. Yes, we don't have the facility right now, but we can work at it. Trade schools. Another one, skills for our children. You see what our system is doing? Our system is preparing children only for academics, and it takes away from the gifts and the talents from other areas that they may have. Like I said, not everybody wants to be a lawyer, a doctor, a chemist, a teacher, a nurse. Some students are gifted with their hands to be carpenters, masons, mechanics, welders, engineers. So facilitate and guide them and nurture them. Trade school should not be a secondary option. Trade school should be a primary option for a secondary program, primary consideration. And so we need to invest in our IT vet centers. Technology. If we don't want our children to be left behind, we must incorporate technology in the classroom. Now, I know this COVID situation has enabled us to start giving out, randomly to well-deserved children technology a device. Yes, that is good. No, that is fair. Because my fear is that when we go back to the physical classroom, whenever that is, now the leaders say, no more technology. You can't bring your tablet. You can't bring your phones. You can't bring your laptop. So what was the purpose of giving out the tablet in the first place? You need technology in the classroom for our children to be able to compete in an international setting, in a global setting with the children from the rest of the world. If we don't, we are depriving them of this competitive edge, and our children are born into it. So we must ensure that the technology remains in the classroom and teachers are trained to use the technology, the apps, the platforms, and deliver very well. Every school should be equipped with, with internet, with access, and every child should have access to a technological device, whether it's a phone, it's a tablet, it's a computer. So it needs to be embedded into the curriculum. And if you're thinking about taking away technology after this COVID situation and when students return to the physical classroom, great injustice. Great injustice to our children. It is their world. This is the technological age, and we must not deprive them. And finally, entrepreneurship. What brilliant minds we have. High school students graduating from high school, secondary school students, and tertiary students. Great business plan they have. They take business, as a matter of fact, from even primary school. But you know where the problems that arises? After graduation from the university. A student has a bachelor's degree in business education or business management or business science. Now, they have a great plan to make finances and to make money and to develop the country. They go to a bank and the bank asks, may I have your collateral? A person at the age of 17, 18, 19, they do not have collateral. So why will you ask? They don't have a piece of land. They don't have a vehicle. They're just starting out in life. So we need an entrepreneurship program that will provide small grants to start up, small loans to start up these students after graduation. Some of them have great plans. I listen to many of their students and what they want to do, what the business they want to create, which is much better than getting a degree to go and work for someone. Much better. So we need a program whereby the government, whereby the university, and the financial institution can invite students with a plan. Bring your proposal. Let's look at your proposal. Let's help you to build your proposal, and let's help you to finance this proposal so that you could start up. Whether it's a little shop, whether it's a room in their home, whether it's an online business, whatever their plan is, help them. Help them to gather the finances because that's the problem. Just finance. Just finance. And the only place that finance exists are the financial institutions. So provide them with some level of credit, some level to give them a chance. Now, not 100% of them will be successful, but believe me, many of them will be successful and grow into being great business people and eventually developing. So we need to focus on an entrepreneurship program for our young people, for our great minds, and to capitalize on that to help develop and grow Belize. So those are my 8 little points. I say, let's build Belize with the development of great minds by addressing our limitations in our system, especially our educational system. If we do this in the next 10 years, Belize is going to be a wonderful place for all Belizeans. Every Belizean child needs to be given that opportunity to be successful in life. Thank you very much. Now I need to get back to my module because I have a class tomorrow to deliver in Singapore. So I'm off, everyone. I'll leave you with that. Take care and have a wonderful day.